And we're back.
Okay, I guess we're back. That
Back
was
again.
Okay, that was weird.
Yeah, that was really weird.
So we are sorry for that. Hopefully,
So a very strange mystical thing happened. The audio input in OBS magically
It
disappeared.
disappeared.
I didn't touch it.
And
I don't believe Chris. I think
when we
he's lying.
started OBS back up again,
Oh,
it...
I'm playing Pokemon mostly and listening for audio cues
Oh,
to change
okay.
titles.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, our cameraman is busy playing Pokemon.
Yeah.
So, there's that. Luckily, we didn't actually read anything from the Bible
Yeah, we didn't.
yet. So welcome to Atheist Sunday School.
Welcome back. Actually, I don't know if this is going to be a separate stream or if it's just going to be part of
It'll have
the
the same
video.
title.
I know it's going to have the same title, but okay, fucking. never
Okay,
mind.
well, anyways, hey everyone. Share the stream
Yeah.
if you're
Holy
enjoying its content.
Shit, that
Okay.
that fucking sucked. Why did that happen? Why did that have to happen?
Dude, programming's annoying. This is an open source system. It's gonna have errors
Oh my God.
erroneously.
All right.
Okay, we need to improve OBS. We need to make a better OBS.
Every week there's a
Yeah.
better OBS.
Every week there's a better OBS.
Every week.
I don't think we've updated.
We do.
We do?
Because I have to stream all the time for other people, yes. I update all OBSs here.
Well, anyways, we're back, and we're starting chapter 5
Yep.
of
Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy.
Not numbers.
Not numbers.
And I really hope this is all gonna come out as like one, like full video without a break.
Yeah,
Like so, it's not as two videos. It's gonna be as one.
yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Hopefully.
Yeah. If not, that's gonna be annoying.
If all else fails,
I'll
go
put it
check
together.
out Lawrence's discussion with some Ray Comfort people.
Yeah. I had some Ray Comfort talks.
Ray Comfort talks.
That was dumb. You're right.
Yes.
I had some talks with some Ray Comfort sycophants. It's all on our Patreon feed. It's
Yep.
public, so you don't have to be a patron to see it.
Yep. And I did read a little bit of the rant you posted on Facebook.
did
Is
you?
that the same
Yeah.
rant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's quite a rant.
Yeah.
It's very long, so you're reading material for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get started here.
So let's get started on chapter 5. And Moses called all Israel. Remember, we're still in this giant speech.
Yeah, this is still a huge speech.
And this is just like a pause that just happened in the speech.
Yeah.
Okay. And Moses called all Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them, and keep, and do them. The Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. The Lord made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us who are all of us here alive this day. So, the previous covenants have been fulfilled, and now Moses is talking specifically about the covenant made with them in Horeb.
Yes.
Yes. The Lord talked with you face to face in the mount out of the midst of the fire.
See, and I just want to point out that I think at some point later, it's said that nobody has ever seen God face to face. But not only do we have the story of Moses talking to God face to face, but here it says that you spoke with God face to face.
Well, God
And this
appeared,
is Moses talking to the people.
He appeared out of the fire to the
Yeah,
people.
face
and
to
then
face.
Moses went up and spoke with him one-on-one later on.
Yeah. Oh, and to answer Landon's question, he was very loud.
Yes. How a guy who professed his inability to do public speaking and to the point where he needed Aaron, the priest,
Yeah.
to do the speaking for him, how he ended up making a speech as long as all of Deuteronomy.
Well, he must have been inspired.
He must have been inspired. This is very out of character for Moses.
It is.
I stood between the Lord and you at that time to show you the word of the Lord. For ye were afraid by reason of the fire, and went not up into the mount, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt have none other gods before me.
So I think that together is the first commandment.
Thou shalt not make thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. So,
Yeah.
no matter what they did with Moses and Aaron's bodies, they're in one of those categories.
Yes.
So any art that you ever see depicting Moses or Aaron
Any
is
likeness.
heretical.
It's a sin.
Yeah.
You're bad and you should feel bad if you do that.
Yeah. Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God.
Okay, so don't worship those things.
Don't make images of them, don't worship them, and don't serve them.
No, it says
Don't bow down to them.
you shall not make them and you shall not bow down to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
For I, the Lord God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. So, just remember that the sins of the father pass on down to the children.
Yeah.
That is
That hate
biblical
'em, yeah.
canon. And showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee. 6 days thou shalt labor, and do all thy work. But in the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thine ass, nor any of thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates, that thy manservant and thy maidservant may rest as well as thou. And remember that thou wast a servant in the land of Egypt, and that the Lord thy God brought thee out thence,
Good luck with that.
through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm. Therefore, the Lord thy God commanded thee to keep the Sabbath day. That would imply that was an argument, using the therefore statement.
I guess, but it is used a little differently in the Bible.
It
Because
is.
you don't think they would have a logical argument in the Bible, do you? I certainly don't think that they would.
Probably not. Maybe when we get to, what's his face, the wise guy.
The wise guy?
Yeah.
Jesus? Or a
No,
different
not
guy?
Jesus. Solomon.
Oh, Solomon.
Solomon might
Gotcha.
have some logic.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be wise. He might
That's
just
true.
be the only one
That's
who
true.
knew anything about logic.
Like when he suggests that you cut a child in half.
Yeah, that was a wise decision. I think that was actually a very creative decision.
It wasn't. That wouldn't happen in real life.
Yeah, but
For the story, it was nice.
it's a nice story.
It's a nice story.
Well, the purpose isn't to be a literal representation of historical events, right? They're figurative stories that represent different
Yeah.
aspects of human culture.
But we know that it is taken literally by.
It is
people.
taken literally, which is ridiculous. Probably by those Ray Comfort people you ran into. They probably take it pretty literally.
Yeah, they probably do.
Yeah.
And every single time, it was like it pissed me off because I would talk about the history of the Bible or the history of the canon or something, and oh, look at that. Thanks, Chris. But the history of the Bible or the history of canon or something, and the dude would be like, oh, but gay marriage. It's like, what about you? Why are you mentioning gay marriage? It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. It was a Gish Gallop, and it was, what's the other word? It's just very jumpy.
Now, when they talk about moral stuff, the Ray Comfort people.
Yeah.
Do they ever bring up anything that's ever happened to them, or is it literally all just
It's
them
all
trying
biblical.
to force themselves into other people's business?
Yeah, it's all biblical, and it's all, wow, Chris, that looks awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit, that looks bad. Look at that.
Wow.
We got, like, some
That looks
cameras
the same as
set up here.
Ruben's. In terms of where your positioning
Oh,
is.
fine, whatever. Looks shitty, but okay, fine.
Yeah,
Wow.
Ruben, you could scoot your chair over just a little bit.
Which direction?
Away from Lawrence.
Bye, Ruben.
Tilt it. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Hey, excellent.
Okay.
Thanks.
But yeah, it's all about their, it's all about their book. They're
Yes.
getting all their arguments from their book, and
But you know their book better than they know their book.
of course I do.
Okay.
And it was very interesting because when they were talking about, when I mentioned like biblical slavery, they're like, oh, but see, Jesus, he didn't have slaves or anything. And I'm like, well, okay, well, he didn't say anything about slavery. He also didn't say anything about homosexuality either. So if it was like, if he didn't say anything about it, you can't just assume it's bad. I mean, there are plenty of times that he doesn't follow the law that we discovered.
Have you seen that meme that's been circulating around? That's it's like, I went to my priest and asked why the Bible says to hate the gays, and my priest said that it was originally a Greek verse that wasn't in the Hebrew script. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Lawrence would know that. Was the part that says that it's an abomination a Greek addition?
No, it wasn't.
Exactly. Well, I wouldn't think that it is.
No,
That's-
there was a Greek translation, and that's completely separate.
Yes.
Like, the Greek translation was used by the authors of, well, it was at least used by the author of Matthew, for example. And we can tell that he used the Greek version because, there's no such thing as a perfect translation. And when Matthew is talking about some of the prophecies, like a virgin birth, for example, the verse he was using as prophecy didn't say virgin in the Hebrew. It said young woman in the Hebrew. But in the Greek translation, in the Septuagint, it said virgin. So that we know he used the Septuagint because of that. But no, it wasn't Greek. It was in the original, or quote unquote original, Hebrew scriptures.
So there is blatant misinformation that is currently circulating about the Bible, and we will point it out.
Yeah, see, that's what we do.
Yep. Honor thy father and thy mother, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee, that thy days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, neither thou...
It's negotiable, though. Killing is negotiable. If they believe in a different God than you, it's negotiable.
Well, in some of the Jewish translations, it says thou shalt not murder.
Yeah, this does say murder.
Right, that
Yeah.
says murder, which is significantly different than killing.
It is. It is different than killing.
Right. Neither shalt thou commit adultery, neither shalt thou steal. Just think of the Vatican.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kill,
Steal.
steal,
Adultery with
adultery
with the little boys.
with non-adults.
Yeah.
We call it pederasty. Neither shalt thou desire thy neighbor's wife, neither shalt thou covet thy neighbor's house.
Wait a minute. Did you skip one? Did you skip 20?
Oh, yeah. Neither shalt thou bear false witness against thy neighbor. Neither shalt thou desire thy neighbor's wife. Neither shalt thou covet thy neighbor's house, his field, or his manservant, or his maidservant, his ox, or his ass, or anything that is thy neighbor's.
Yeah, don't covet.
So this is actually what...
Bad for the economy.
Well, that's what Friedrich Nietzsche had against the Judeo-Christian outlook, is that when you introduce this rule about coveting, well, that's an unconscious impulse, right? That's not something...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, right?
You don't really think about that. You just kind of want things.
You see the super cool, futuristic, self-driving car, and you're like, wow, I want that.
Yeah, or as George Carlin put it, yeah, your neighbor gets a dildo that sings "O Come All You Faithful." You want to get one too.
Yeah. Well, that's just a natural impulse for human beings. And what they're doing here is establishing that as a sin, which allows them to take advantage of literally everyone. Right? Because when you sin, you have to go to give sacrifice. The sacrifice is then given to the priesthood.
Yeah, but the thing is, they wouldn't know.
They wouldn't know.
But the people would believe that they did commit a sin.
The people believe that they commit a sin, which is what's important. They just convince the people to give them free food.
Yeah.
Yeah. These words the Lord spake unto all your assembly in the mount out of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness, with a great voice. And he added no more, and he wrote them in 2 tables of stone, and delivered them unto me. And it came to pass, those tables of stone behind me, and it came to pass, when ye heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, for the mountain did burn with fire, that ye came near unto me, even all the heads of your tribes and your elders, and ye said, Behold!
Behold!
The Lord our God hath showed us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that God doth talk with man, and he liveth. This sounds like Fatima.
What?
Yeah, that thing where the kids saw...
I know a girl named Fatima, but I don't think that's what you're referencing.
It was an event on some island or something, and a bunch of kids saw the Virgin Mary, and then...
Oh, okay, now I remember.
Yeah, like, it sounds like that's what's being described here.
Something like that, yeah.
Of course, we all know a mass hallucination.
That happens.
Literally, they were standing next to a fire.
Yeah.
And there was a cloud of smoke coming out of the fire.
Yeah.
They
were probably dehydrated.
Probably dehydrated in the middle of the desert. Yeah, I could see them all having a mass hallucination and then like, oh, we're all freaking out. Oh, what did that thing say? Well, we can agree on these things, right? That's what it said.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Guys,
Yeah.
we have to agree on something, right?
Yeah. We see in this day that God doth talk with man, and he liveth. Now, if God lives, then God can die.
Ooh. Well, see, in supernatural lore, death is supposed to reap God at some point.
Yeah, but even death will die.
No.
According to Lovecraftian.
Oh, according to Lovecraftian. Okay. Fair enough.
Now, therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of the Lord any more, then we shall die. So they're like, oh, we all had this mass hallucination. But if we ever
hear it again,
we're all going to die.
This is a good way to justify God not talking to people, actually.
Yeah.
You say that it happened in the past, and that
if it happens again,
everyone will die.
Yeah.
But see, there are people today that do say that God speaks to them.
Right. And there are people today who speak in tongues.
Yeah, but we know how people speak in tongues. They just form words differently.
Well, it's very interesting. There's like the flow state, right? Which is actually like something in neuroscience. Like, it just shows that you're not processing thoughts as quickly. You're just getting to the destination more quickly, right? And a lot of people, when they go into these religious experiences, their brains light up basically the same way. I mean, it's just a different mode of cognition.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like being drunk or being high, right? No difference. If you've ever
Been
drank a
drunk or
bottle
high.
of whiskey while smoking 10 blunts,
You've had a religious experience.
essentially. Well, no, these people in the desert would probably categorize such a thing as a religious
Oh
experience.
yeah, no, they definitely would.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear because hey, talking to God,
Yeah.
that's I think that would be
How
almost
many
the very
people
definition.
do you know who took LSD and talked to God?
Not that many.
Oh, yeah, I met a lot
Okay.
at UW Milwaukee.
I've met a lot of people that like took a lot of drugs and then they're all like, I'm in tune with the universe and
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
The
where
people who do Taoism but never actually read the Tao Te Ching. Yeah. For who is there of all flesh that hath heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as we have and lived? Go thou near, and hear all that the Lord our God shall say, and speak thou unto us all that the Lord our God shall speak unto thee, and we will hear it and do it. And the Lord heard the voice of your words when ye spake unto me. And the Lord said unto me, I've heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken unto thee. They have well said all that they have spoken. Oh, that there were such a heart in them, that they would fear me and keep my commandments always, that it might be well with them, and go with their children forever. Go say to them, Get you into your tents again. But as for thee, stand thou here by me, and I will speak unto thee all the commandments, and the statutes, and the judgments, which thou shalt teach them, that they may do them in the land which I give them to possess it. You shall observe to do therefore as the Lord your God hath commanded you. You shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. You shall walk in all the ways which the Lord your God hath commanded you, that ye may live, that it may be well with you, and that ye may prolong your days in the land which ye shall possess. So it sounds like the new covenant really is you will live for a long time and you will maintain possession over things as long as you keep your covenant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is really to say that God is supporting healthcare and private property rights.
Sure.
Yeah.
What I find really interesting is that this is a setup for the rest of, or like the next 6
D.B.
books.
Cisco translated the Tao Te Ching.
All by yourself? That was you?
Wow. You should send me a copy of that translation. I'll read it.
What I find...
Send it to MilwaukeeAtheist@gmail.com.
Yeah, do that. So I think it's really interesting because they're setting up this if you keep up the good work, you're going to keep all this land and shit. You're going to be in good standing. But the thing that happened, because this was written after, or I should say during the Babylonian exile.
Mm.
So at least this part was.
And for our viewers, the Babylonian exile.
Okay, so basically, after the reign of King Josiah, Babylon was, huge. Their empire was amazing, and they decided to do a takeover. And they were taking over Israel, not Judah. They were taking over Israel, and they exiled a lot of the Israelites to Babylon. Some did obviously stay in Israel, but that was the Babylonian exile. Now, it was a time of hardship, obviously. They were in exile. So they were writing this entire thing, basically, was written to give reasons why they were allowed to be exiled. Because the rest of these books, there were two editions. There was an edition written before the exile and an edition written afterwards, because the edition before the exile claimed that the seed of David would be on the throne of Israel forever.
Which didn't happen.
Which didn't happen. So they had to justify it. So during the Babylonian exile, there was a second edition, and then either during the exile or maybe directly after the exile, the other 4 books were written to give more of divine reasons. Like this tried to put it in history in some way, while the other books were a divine narrative.
Well, also, this chapter points out that on the Sabbath, you're not even allowed to let strangers, foreigners, do work.
Wait, did it say that?
Yep, it says, hold on.
Keep it holy. You or your son or your daughter, or the sojourner who is within your gates.
Or the sojourner that is within thy gates.
Okay.
Right? Which, this is the point at which they take their religion
Start shoving it down people's
and start
throats.
shoving it down people's throats. It's in the 10 Commandments. Right. Anyways, if you're enjoying the stream so far, give it a like.
Yeah,
and
definitely drop a like if you're enjoying the stream.
share it with your friends, family, ex-wives.
Yeah, all those great, amazing people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Firefighters.
firefighters. Yes.
Yeah.
And those.
But not
those,
the police. We don't want the police here.
those tech people that you call tech support.
Tech support.
Yeah.
Geek Squad.
Yeah, Geek Squad.
Yeah.
And
if you could get us on stream in a few local bars, that'd be
that'd
cool.
be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd open up a bar and then just stream us.
Oh, it would be terrible. No one would ever come to our bar.
We would serve alcohol.
Okay, people would come to our bar, but they'd get pissed off constantly. It'd be great.
We are sorry about the audio issues before.
Yes, we deeply apologize.
Yeah. So I hope this renders fine together. But we'll see. I'll fix anything if need be.
And with that being said, Lawrence, it's your turn to read
it
chapter
is-
6 of
It is
Deuteronomy.
my turn. Chapter 6. And this I think we should remember, because the heading here says the greatest commandment. And when Jesus is talking about what the greatest commandment is, I don't actually remember if he said this one or not. So let's read this, and then I may remember if it was in fact this one. Because somebody asked him, what is like the most important commandment?
Well, now we should know.
We should know. Let's find out if we do. Now this is the commandment, the statutes and the rules that the Lord your God commanded me to teach you, that you may do them in the land to which you are going over to possess it, that you may fear the Lord your God, you and your son and your son's son, by keeping all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you, all the days of your life, and that your days may be long. Hear therefore, O Israel, and be careful to do them, that it may go well with you. That it may go well with you. And that you may multiply greatly, as the Lord, the God of your fathers, has promised you, in a land flowing with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Ooh.
That is a very classical prayer. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
I'm sorry, I don't understand Japanese.
It translates to, Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, and the Lord is one.
Oh, okay.
Or the Lord our God is one, or
Something like that.
something like that.
Okay.
And it totally supports my conclusion that they base their religion fundamentally on the same kinds of mystical experiences that the Hindus do when they're writing the beginning of the Vedas, because they also describe things as monistic,
Okay.
non-dual. Right? So it's probably is different interpretations of the same reaction of chemicals or whatever.
I have no idea. But
Well, I
you know
know
what?
that-
I'm going to have answers to that.
Well, I know that the Hindus would actually take like psychoactive substances in order to trigger like their samadhi experiences or their liberation or enlightenment or whatever.
Whatever, yeah.
And here, Moses does kind of the same thing, where whenever he speaks to God, he's either at a very high altitude, which means that there's less
Or
oxygen,
it's very hot.
or it's very hot, or
Or
he's
both.
breathing in smoke, or any combination of those things.
Yeah.
So that's also like the exact prescription for forcing yourself into those kinds of
They were
reactions.
high on a mountain.
Yeah.
Get it?
Yeah, they were high on
Get
the
it?
mountain.
High on a mountain?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for saying that Hebrew or whatever.
Yeah.
You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. Ooh, it's written on the heart. This is the thing that Cy Ten Bruggencate loves to quote.
Mm-hmm.
He loves to say that everybody knows God exists because it's written on their hearts. Fucking
Well, no, it would only be written on the hearts of the people who are attending this speech.
yeah, but I'm saying that's his argument.
Yeah. It's really weird how, the religious people will take something in the Bible that is clearly being delivered for a specific group of people and then generalize that into like, this is how you should live your life.
But see, and then on the other side, they're like, if you pick something out and it's bad and you show it to them, they're like, but you're taking it out of context. Fucking hypocrites. I think context is important.
Context is important.
Yeah, so we shouldn't cherry pick shit.
Right. And all of Deuteronomy is a speech which Moses is giving to the people of Israel before they go in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because Moses doesn't go in.
Right, he does not.
Right.
What is it, Caleb and Joshua?
Joshua,
Yeah.
yes.
Because apparently they're holy, but we don't know why yet.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure it out if you keep reading.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. You shall teach them diligently. Wait, did I skip something? No. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and you shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. So all the time you should be talking about the law.
Well, are they saying here that you should literally always be talking about the law or that you should be praying all the time? Because they do have morning prayers and evening prayers.
It says when they're talking in reference to the laws, shall love in these words. Yeah. Yep. Maybe not literally all the time, but quite a lot of the time. Now these may just be like prayers, but some of the stuff is really vague. Some of the stuff is when you sit in your house and when you walk by the way. I don't even know what that. When you're just walking around? Is that what that means? When you walk by the way?
Yeah. Or when you pass someone.
You
Well, here in Milwaukee,
but it's vague though.
right, but here in
Like,
Milwaukee
if
you
you're-
don't
if you're
see
at,
it
like,
much,
a
but
concert or
if
something-
you go up north, or if you go to smaller towns or smaller communities, when you walk past someone, every time they'll be like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Yeah,
Have a
but
nice
could you imagine
day.
saying that to everybody?
Yeah, they do that.
That's awful.
I know it's
only
awful.
like 10 people.
Yeah, there's not many people. They're just very
Awful.
happy to see each other
Awful.
because there's no one else.
They're like, human interaction.
Yep.
All right.
Where was I? You shall bind them as a sign on your hand. Ooh. And they shall be as frontlets between your eyes.
So,
What are you doing?
the mark of the Cohen,
Oh, okay.
live long and prosper.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought this was Live Long and Prosper.
Well, this is Live Long and Prosper. That was based off of that because Spock was played by Leonard Nimoy, who just happened to be a Cohen.
Oh, okay.
I think he was a Cohen. He took that from a Jewish thing.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah.
You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Well, that one is true. We still do that. Jews still do that.
What?
They put up like little scrolls.
Yeah, it's called a mezuzah.
Yeah, mezuzah.
It has the commandments or something written inside of a scroll, which is then placed inside of a container, which they hammer onto the front doorway.
Yeah. Yeah. There are like 3 of those in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to have one on my door and then I ripped it off.
Good job.
Thanks. And when the Lord your God brings you into the land that he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give you with great and good cities that you did not build, and houses full of all things that you did not fill, and cisterns that you did not dig, and vineyards and olive trees that you did not plant, and when you eat and are full, then take care lest you forget the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. So, basically, you better be happy that I'm letting you steal all this shit.
Yeah.
Thanks, thou shalt not steal.
Yep. Literal contradiction.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even 2 chapters. Man,
Great, beautiful.
that's awful.
Yep. It is the Lord your God you shall fear. Him you shall serve, by his name you shall swear. That sounds like a bad song. Like, it just sounds like a bad lyric. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like, that near late DEU, like, bless me, Father, I must go again to save us from the ones who don't believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's what you would hear. You shall not go after other gods, because no matter how sexy they are, you shouldn't go after those other gods.
Oh, yeah, you shouldn't bow down before
The gods of the peoples who are around you. For the Lord your God in your midst is a jealous God, lest the anger of the Lord your God be kindled against you, and he destroy you from off the face of the earth. So more references to the Jewish people thinking they have somehow sinned, and that's why they were destroyed. More references to that.
Maybe they just got hit by lightning an extraordinarily large amount of times.
I don't think they were. I think they were just bummed that they were exiled.
Yeah.
You shall not put the Lord your God to the test, as you tested him at Massa. You shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God, and his testimonies and his statutes, which he has commanded you. And you shall do what is right and good in the sight of the Lord, that it may go well with you, that you may go in and take possession of the good land that the Lord swore to give to your fathers, by thrusting out all your enemies from before you, as the Lord had promised. When your son asks you in time to come, what is the meaning of the testimonies and the statutes and the rules that the Lord our God has commanded you, then you shall say to your son, we were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt, and the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand, and the Lord showed signs and wonders great and grievous against Egypt and against Pharaoh and all his household before our eyes, and he brought us out from there, that he might bring us in and give us the land that he swore to give to our fathers. And the Lord commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear the Lord our God, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as we are this day, and it will be righteousness for us. It will be righteousness for us
Righteousness.
if we are careful to do all this commandment before the Lord our God as he has commanded us. You know what I find very interesting?
What?
When you ask like an old Jewish person about this stuff, they will start to tell you about the Pharaoh and them being slaves in Egypt.
They will.
Every single time I get into a conversation with this shit with my grandparents, it's, but we were slaves in Egypt. And I'm like, no, you weren't, motherfucker.
No, there's no historical, I mean,
Yeah.
there's no evidence whatsoever for it. But they will all say it.
They will all say it.
Well, it's an interesting experiment. Can you make something true just by convincing
No!
people
No.
that it's
You
true?
can hide it really
You could
well.
think it's true. Okay, everybody used to think the Earth was flat. Was the Earth ever flat?
Last week Thursday.
I have no evidence to suggest that it was or wasn't. I wasn't around back then.
Okay, I don't think we have any reason to think that the Earth has changed shape. The
Well,
moment
we don't
somebody,
have any reason
the
to
moment
think that
somebody-
it hasn't changed.
Okay,
shape.
that's not how. Fuck you, Ruben.
Al-Iraqi says, the atheist every day wakes up and then eats and drinks and sleeps and repeats this until he dies. Has no goal in life.
I have a goal in life.
What's your goal in life?
It's to destroy the Abrahamic faiths.
Yes.
That's my goal in life. And
Not the people.
not the people. The faiths.
Not the people.
No, not the people.
Somebody could take it out of context.
That's true. Somebody could take it out of context. So I do all those things, but so do you. And your goal is already set. You have a meaning, and you just have to worship.
Well, what presumably
You're a
is...
sheep. It's not for you.
What-
It's for your ego, actually.
Well, I mean, what even is the goal for the religious person? Is it that
It's
because there is an afterlife for them, that means that suddenly
yeah.
that is their goal?
Yes.
Well, they're going to get to the afterlife no matter what they do.
Right. But this is actually something I always find very interesting. You can tell a lot about people from asking them, are you trying to get into heaven or are you trying to stay out of hell?
But
And depending on which one is more, because they're not the same thing. So depending on which one they answer, you can tell a lot about a person. If they're trying to stay out of hell, they are doing things out of fear.
right, which is the prescription.
Right.
Right. But also, let's say you die and you've been religious all your life and you go to heaven.
But it's the wrong religion.
Well, no. Let's say you even got the religion right and you actually go to heaven and you accomplish your goal. Well, from then until the end of eternity, what is your goal? You have none.
Yeah, but I think the theist would say, well, you don't really need a goal because you have accomplished this one and you don't need anything else.
But they're just adding unnecessary steps. If you don't need the goal then, you don't need the goal now.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess.
I never needed a goal, but bam.
Yeah. Anyways.
Remember, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, we are still sorry for the audio issues before, but drop a like if you are
Yeah.
having a good
Oops,
time.
that's the wrong one.
What did you do?
I said see you next Sunday already.
Oh my god, you piece of
Well,
shit.
don't do
No,
that.
disregard.
Disregard that.
I wanted to say like and sub. Here, do it again, Lawrence.
Okay, like and subscribe if you haven't.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anyways, we're going to continue.
Christ. Okay.
Yeah.
We will see you next Sunday, but
We're still here.
We're
We're
still
here.
here.
Yep. All right, so now we're on to chapter 7.
Yeah, sorry.
Which, this one, actually, I'm looking at it. It's only 26 verses long,
Yeah, fairly short.
but these verses it seems longer, right? Like, look at the amount of space that it takes up on the page. Right?
The other one was 25.
The other one was 25, and it starts here and ends not even
I guess
all the
it
way.
does seem longer.
It does seem longer.
It's
so
not, though.
Does that point towards
Divine intervention.
no,
Divine
a
intervention.
different author?
No.
Well,
Same guy.
No.
you would figure
well,
that if it's one person, then they would have.
Well, it's not because the verses weren't there initially.
Right, but they have a writing style.
They do. Well, it depends on what they're writing about. This seems like another list.
Right.
So
When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites, and the Amorites and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them, and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter shall not give unto his son, nor his daughter shall take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. This is foreshadowing for the Solomon story, where Solomon eventually is led astray
no.
by his many, many wives.
Yeah.
And he loses his powers.
Yeah.
But thus shall ye deal with them. You shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So literally, this is a supremacist movement. Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people. For ye were the fewest of all people. I doubt it. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep his oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondsmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him, and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and he repayeth them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hateth him. He will repay him to his face. Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command thee this day to do them. Wherefore it shall come to pass, if ye hearken to these judgments, and keep and do them, that the Lord thy God shall keep unto thee the covenant and the mercy which he sware unto thy fathers, and he will love thee, and bless thee, and multiply thee. He will also bless the fruit of thy womb, and the fruit of the land, thy corn, and thy wine, and thine oil, the increase of thy kine, and the flocks of thy sheep, in the land which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee. Thou shalt be blessed above all people. There shall not be male or female barren among you, or among your cattle. And the Lord will take away from thee all sickness, and will put none of the evil diseases of Egypt, which thou knowest, upon thee, but will lay them upon all them that hate thee.
You wouldn't think that they would be expecting, like they did have their own shit going on, but you wouldn't expect the diseases that killed and like destroyed Egypt to go to these people, because they're all like, we're the chosen ones.
So in summary, as Jim asked for a summary, in summary, up until this point, Moses is still delivering this speech. And he's saying, when you're going off to battle, you should destroy everything, leave no one alive, just burn whatever you can, basically.
It's basically a supremacist movement that's also a martyrdom movement.
Right.
Because they're all like, we were the smallest amount of people or something like that. It's like, I don't think so. They were probably tribes way smaller than you.
And there's also the blessing here, where if you keep God's commandments,
You'll be fruitful.
you'll be fruitful,
Yeah.
you'll multiply, you'll have lots of kids, you'll live a really long time. And if you hate God, then you will live a short life and you'll be destroyed.
Yeah.
Bitch.
Bitch.
Obviously, it's not true because Richard Dawkins is a pretty old guy.
Yeah, he is pretty old.
I like how they say also that no one's going to be barren, right? Which we know is not true.
Right.
And also that they won't be diseased ever.
They won't be plagued with the ones in Egypt.
Right.
But we do know that people still do, including Jews, get boils, right?
Yeah.
And that what are some of the other ones?
Their firstborn children
Oh,
die
well, yeah, that
sometimes.
happens sometimes, yeah.
Oh.
Actually,
Thanks, Jim, for the
Thank
donation.
you, Jim. $10. That is fantastic. Thank you.
There it is.
Fantastic.
You get an animation.
Yep,
Ruben
animation.
spinning a bow staff.
Ruben
you
spinning
get
a bow
an
staff?
animation of me spinning a bow
Oh,
staff?
there you are.
Yeah, that's the $10 animation one.
Yep. Okay, we're just
Wow.
seeing it now.
That's
Cool.
the first time we've had $10 exactly.
That's neat.
Fantastic. Thank you. So, where the fuck was I? Oh, right. So on my father's side, my grandparents, they lost their first child.
Yes.
Yeah.
So obviously,
Like in, birth.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I would have had,
Oh
an
no.
aunt, but I don't.
Well, you don't.
And I'm very happy about that,
yeah.
which means smaller family.
Yeah.
I don't like my family, guys.
He
They're
hates
all...
his family. They programmed him to do all sorts of Russian stuff. And the Lord shall consume all the people which the Lord thy God shall deliver thee. Thine eye shall have no pity upon them, neither shalt thou serve their gods, for that will be a snare unto thee. If thou shalt say in thine heart, these nations are more than I, how can I dispossess them? Thou shalt not be afraid of them, but shalt well remember that the Lord thy God did unto Pharaoh and to all Egypt the great temptations which thine eyes saw, and the signs and the wonders, and the mighty hand and the stretched out arm, whereby the Lord brought thee out. So shall the Lord God do unto all the people of whom thou art afraid. So now they're promising that all of the shit that happened to the Egyptians is going to happen to everyone who they stand against.
Yeah. Which, obviously, we know isn't true.
Right, because there's still tons of non-Jewish nations.
There's tons of non-Jewish nations and people who wanted to destroy the Jews
Right.
got pretty far.
Well, Israel,
Like the one guy got pretty
Israel-
far, let's be honest.
Yeah, Israel today is surrounded by countries that want to destroy
Yeah.
it.
That's true.
Moreover, the Lord thy God will send the hornet among them, until they that are left and hide themselves from thee be destroyed. Thou shalt not be affrighted at them, for the Lord thy God is among you, a mighty God, and terrible. Is that like, ooh, he's so bad?
Yeah. It's probably exactly like that.
Ooh. And the Lord thy God will put out those nations before thee little and by little and little.
Although my translation says your God is in your midst, a great and awesome God.
Oh,
So maybe that's what they mean by
terrible.
awful, full of awe.
Yeah.
Not awesome, awful.
Yeah.
Not some awe, full awe.
Yeah. So God is just constantly in awe of everything. He's like, whoa, holy shit.
Oh shit, that should be our fucking character. Oh, right. Tell us if you want a sitcom about God.
Yes.
I want to make that.
If you want a sitcom about God,
Yeah, like where God's the main character, and we'll think of something. But I think it'd be pretty funny.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it'd be like a live-action Dark Matter thing, and it'd be our own things. We're not going to steal shit from dark matter.
No, we're not going to steal shit from dark matter. Though
What's
dark
that guy's
matter.
name for dark matter, the main character?
Dark-
That should be our character's main name.
God?
God?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah, because he thought of God.
Wait, yeah. You're
Yeah.
stealing it from him, though. We have to specify that. He'll thank us later.
So God's going to destroy all the nations
Yeah.
that aren't from this tribe.
Yes.
Thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee. But the Lord thy God shall deliver them unto thee, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction until they be destroyed. Wow!
Until they be destroyed.
He shall destroy them with a mighty destruction until they be destroyed. Redundant.
No.
But the Lord your God will give them over to you and throw them into great confusion until they are destroyed.
Mine's better.
Yeah, I like yours more.
And he shall deliver their kings into thine hand, and thou shalt destroy their name from under heaven. There shall be no man be able to stand before thee until thou have destroyed them. So, wait. No man is able to stand before you, so they can't beat you in a fight until you destroy them.
Yeah, until you destroy them.
Well, then they're destroyed. So,
That doesn't make sense.
yeah. The graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein. For it is an abomination to the Lord thy God. Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thine house, lest thou be a cursed thing like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing.
Yeah.
So
This is more of that saltiness from getting exiled.
yeah, so if you have like, I don't know, a little golden Buddha statue, and you melt it down,
You can't keep the
can't
gold.
keep the gold. You
Right.
also can't use the gold to make anything.
Right.
Presumably you would
Tainted.
sell the gold, as long
That-
as you do it outside your house.
That is what these guys would probably do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you're enjoying the stream so far, give it a like
Yep.
and share it among everyone that you have ever met in your life, even if you have no way of sharing it with them.
Do your best. You could try.
And if you really enjoy our stuff, you could also,
Contact the dead.
get-
Tell the dead that we're
Yeah,
coming.
contact the dead.
yeah,
That's a good
know.
one.
How else will they know?
right.
All right, and now we're on to the last chapter for the day, chapter 8.
Chapter 8.
Yep.
And what happens in this chapter?
Well, the little thing here says, remember the Lord your God. So it seems like a lot of this is like exposition on the commandments. Because, let's see, there's something about idols, circumcise your heart. What? That's
What? Circumcise your heart.
Yeah. Yep. More stuff about idols and Sabbaths. We'll learn everything.
Okay.
Let's figure this
Wow.
out. All right. Chapter 8. The whole commandment that I command you today, you shall be careful to do, that you may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land that the Lord swore to give to your fathers. Yawning.
That's a contagious disease,
Yep, that is
the
contagious.
likes of which were seen in Egypt. Do Jews yawn?
I think so.
Well, you come from
And
Judaism.
you shall remember the whole way that the Lord your God has led you these 40 years in the wilderness. I don't think anybody remembers the whole way. It's in here, but I don't think anyone remembers it. I would like to meet one person that has actually memorized the path that they took. Was it the start of this book or the end of the other book?
I think it was at the start of this book.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was at the start of this one too. But it was ridiculous. I don't think anyone has memorized that. Do you think anyone has? What?
No.
Yeah, no one has.
No.
That he might humble you, testing you to know what was in your heart.
Well, maybe. In China, they're Taoist monks. Right? They would literally have to memorize books. Like, they would sit down with the book written out on whatever,
on whatever
format.
PDF.
And they would just repeat it over and over and over again until they couldn't help
But memorize it.
memorize
the whole
it.
book.
The whole book.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Also impressive, but
Very impressive.
please get a life.
Well, it said that Confucius had a perfect recollection of all of the legal books in China at the time that he was alive.
That's also a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people
Memorizing the Quran. Yeah.
I know people memorize parts of the Quran. I didn't think that was the whole damn thing. Well, it's also a lot shorter than this, and I don't know if they have these long-lasting kind of traveling genealogies.
Well, in
I have no idea.
Judaism, there's the bar mitzvah thing, too, where you have to memorize a certain amount
section,
and
right.
chant it. So maybe if someone's bar mitzvah was based around the verses that cover their journey, then those people maybe memorized it.
They might memorize it.
Yeah, but they probably wouldn't even read the verse that says to memorize it.
That you would keep his commandments or not, and he humbled you and let you hunger and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, that he might make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but man lives by every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. That's inaccurate. Your clothing did not... No, see, this is what I find funny. I feel like this is written by a different guy, but I feel if P were writing this, he'd be like, you don't need food, you just need the word of God. Give us the food.
Yeah.
I feel like if he were writing this, that's what it would be. I don't think it was, so it means something else.
P was a dick.
Yeah. And it looks like every word is also translated to all. Just all.
Woo.
So, ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. That comes from the mouth of the Lord. Your clothing did not wear out on you, and your foot did not swell these 40 years. Know then in your heart that as a man disciplines his son, the Lord your God disciplines you. So you shall keep the commandments of the Lord your God by walking in his ways and by fearing him.
So they keep doing this thing where they refer to them as the children of God.
Yeah.
And there's also the parallel here when he chasteneth his son.
What? Chasteneth?
Thou shalt also consider in thine heart that as a man chasteneth his son, so the Lord
What an
thy
awful
God
word.
chasteneth thee. Right. But that parallel keeps coming up.
Yeah.
So that, I think, would point towards anyone who's actually read this, thinking that the Jesus story is outright just a work of fiction. Like, I can't see how you would go from all of this to believing in that, given that literally it's like a grade schooler's interpretation, right? They're the children of God, so here's a guy who's literally the child of God.
Yeah, but there were lots of children of God, so to speak, in those days. Like, even Caesar was seen as a son of God.
Yeah.
But that's because, like, anyone who had power, any kind of power,
Right.
like specifically anyone who could control the weather, they were told to be fucking sons of God.
So the United States, as of the Vietnam War, is children of God.
Sure, why not?
Because we did flood the Ho Chi Minh Trail in North Vietnam.
And we built the Panama Canal.
Yeah, but
It's not the same thing.
No, we actually did flood their trail by artificially lengthening their typhoon season, which caused more rain than would naturally
How did we
occur.
lengthen their typhoon season?
I have no idea.
Water evaporate.
Yeah, water evaporation, I guess.
Okay, fucking, I'll look it up later.
Look it up
Cloud
later.
seeding. Just read into that.
Okay, fine.
Cloud seeding.
I feel like Chris is making shit up.
No, that's science.
No, you should look into
I will look
the
into
flooding
it. I
of
just
the Ho
think
Chi Minh Trail.
Chris is making things up.
No. It's just not as applicable as everyone thinks it is. It's just pseudo-applicable. It works in tropical areas.
Okay.
Really easy. It's already very fucking...
Tropical areas really
Yeah.
easy. Okay.
Yeah.
Where was I? Fearing him. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and springs, of flowing out in the valleys and hills, a land
Wow.
of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive trees and honey, a land in which you will eat bread without scarcity, in which you will lack nothing, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you can dig copper. And
Mine says brass.
that's different.
Yes, that
and
is
you shall
different.
eat and be full, and you shall bless the Lord your God for the good land he has given you. This is unrealistic.
What? A good land with brooks of water, fountains, and depths that
No.
spring out of the valleys and hills?
No. It's unrealistic because it is portraying it as perfect. You will eat bread without scarcity, in which you will lack nothing.
Yeah?
People starve still.
Well, not Jewish people.
Are you telling me you're like G-Man? If you guys don't know who G-Man is, I'm sure you can like look up G-Man No Starving Children, where he's arguing that there are no starving children, and then when it's pointed out that there are in fact starving children, he's like, well, there are no starving Christian children.
Oh.
There are also starving Christian children.
Wow.
Ridiculous. So, anyways, take care lest you forget the Lord your God by not keeping his commandments.
You know,
and
they
his
really
rules.
haven't been covering what's been happening with the Muslim lineage at all.
Yeah, they don't really.
We have Abraham's concubine runs
Hagar.
off. Hagar runs off. And, you know, we're not really following that lineage.
We're not.
At all.
I think we're not following a few lineages.
Yeah.
But hey, I think that's
A very significant part of their lineage, especially given their, like, abstract rules for inheritance and garbage.
yeah, that's true. What are you doing over there? Oh, Chris is just charging his thing. Okay,
Yeah, Chris has been playing Pokemon, like,
he has been
nonstop. Forever.
forever. Okay. His rules and his statutes, which I command you today, lest when you have eaten and are full and have built good houses and live in them, and when your herds and flocks multiply and your silver and gold is multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, then your heart be lifted up, and you forget the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery, who led you through the great and terrifying wilderness with its fiery serpents and scorpions. Fiery serpents. We had one fiery serpent, right? That was the one on the staff.
Right.
Yeah. At least that's what we went over.
There's no fire snake Pokemon.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyways, Chris is just shouting irrelevancies in the back.
Yeah, it's been like
Fiery serpents and scorpions and thirsty ground, where there was no water, who brought you water out of the flinty rock, who fed you in the wilderness with manna that your fathers did not know, that he might humble you and test you. Holy shit. That's just the same thing again. That he might humble you and test you to do you good in the end. Beware lest you say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand have gotten me this wealth. You shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth, that he may confirm his covenant, that he swore to your fathers, as it is this day. And if you forget the Lord your God and go after other gods and serve them and worship them, I solemnly warn you today that you shall surely perish. I totally skipped the thing. That you shall surely perish, like the nations that the Lord makes to perish before you. So shall you perish, because you would not obey the voice of the Lord your God. So more rationalization as to why they were destroyed, why they were exiled, and it seems like I forgot what else I was going to say. Yep.
It seems like that, but is it that way?
I think so.
Find out next.
Well, that covers the stuff we wanted to read today.
That does cover that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no announcements really. I'm going to try to get a Forged Fiction out this week.
Mm-hmm.
And
Did you hear about Jordan Peterson
what about him?
getting all of his videos pulled from YouTube?
Why do they do that?
Well, because now YouTube's policy is that if anything is controversial, or if anything covers the topic of religion,
It can be removed immediately.
it can be removed immediately.
What?
Right. Because that might offend people.
Because it might offend people?
Because it might offend people.
Is this a newer thing?
This is
How
a
new?
newer thing. Pretty new. I just saw a thing yesterday about it.
Me too.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look into that, because I usually, like, YouTube sends out like an email telling you that there are like policy changes.
Mm-hmm.
I got no such email, and for my channel that would be a problem.
Yeah, well, I mean, if YouTube decides that they just want to pull all religious content, then we're fucked.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could just like talk about pirates and philosophy,
Yeah, pirates and philosophy.
but then our name wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah,
You'd have to have a new channel
yeah.
called Pirates and Philosophy.
Pirates and philosophy.
Pirates and Philosophy, the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, if you guys want to see
Pirates and
videos
Philosophy, the
about
YouTube channel.
Pirates and Philosophy,
I don't even know what we would like do. I mean, pirate stuff we would do, philosophy stuff we'd do.
It has to be really niche.
Super niche.
yeah, the philosophy of Blackbeard.
Oh my god,
Arr.
we could totally write a book on that.
Yeah,
We could
we
probably not.
we shouldn't.
We could try. We shouldn't.
It's morally reprehensible.
Morally reprehensible.
Well, anyways, that's all for this time. If you enjoyed the stream, then give it a thumbs up, and also go to MilwaukeeAtheist.com, where you can talk to us on our forums
Yep.
that people
Talk on.
They
Yes.
real.
One guy say something 2 weeks ago.
We had one guy say something 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So have
Exists.
a blast.
Yeah, but
uh,
if you really enjoy our stuff, you can sport some fancy clothes. We've got all sorts of wacky and fun t-shirts. Behold t-shirts.
we got Behold t-shirts and Rod of God Valentine's shirts.
Rod of God Valentine's shirts for that
It's
special
a,
someone.
It's a ways away, but get it now.
It's a ways away, but
It's always a good time to get something. for
Always a good time.
always a good time. And we still have our Milwaukee Atheist t-shirts, which are for sale on the website.
Yep.
And I don't recall, did we have an Atheist Sunday School t-shirt design? Yeah.
No. That's something we need to work on.
Okay, we're gonna
Well,
make
thanks for joining us.
an
Bye.
Atheist Sunday School t-shirt design. And also, if you would, get on Patreon.
Yeah,
And
Patreon
support us.
too.
Lawrence
us out a lot.
has some funny things that he's run into on our Patreon feed anyway. So
Yeah. So it's all on there.
check it out.
All right. Thanks for joining us today, guys. It was a blast.
Yep.